Today I am downtown Athens, Tennessee. Athens is a sleepy little community by most standards, although it has grown quite a bit in the last several years. But I'm here to explore something in particular, and that is what they call the Battle of Athens. The Battle of Athens took place on August 1st, 1946, when a corrupt sheriff tried to hold on to political power by falsifying election results. And a group of GIs who had returned from World War II objected to that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move along. Athens, like most small towns in the South particularly, has a courthouse in the middle of town with a one-way street square around the courthouse where a lot of times legal offices are down here now, and there's some restaurants and things, a few stores, and then the town sort of spreads out from here. And it's in this general area is where the Battle of Athens took place, where a corrupt government, let's just call it that, it was a corrupt government, was trying to stay in power, and the GIs of the time were not going to stand for it. So this is the site of the old McMinn County Jail. Now that building is mostly gone at this point, but they've painted this beautiful mural here to reenact the Battle of Athens. The sheriff, in those days, the government was run a little differently in Tennessee, and the sheriff pretty much had all power in heaven and earth. At some point during the day, what was called the GI Party, which was made up of all former soldiers that came back from World War II, the GI Party was watching the ballot boxes, and a skirmish somewhere happened. There were about 50 police officers involved here locally that worked for the sheriff. One of them fired on a black man who had come to vote, and it was unclear to the crowds around whether he had been killed or not. And as the unrest grew, the sheriff pulled all of the ballot boxes into this jail to protect them, I suppose. And they were going to go through the counting process here. Now, this street, which is White Street, I believe, there were cars parked out along here, and some of the GIs were out looking at the cars in the street, and the police from inside fired on them. And when they did, that's really when all hell broke loose. And so from about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon until about 3 o'clock the next morning, there was this Battle of Athens that took place. And the GIs set up over here on top of this hill across the street. And there was an exchange of gunfire. And finally, somewhere along the line of about 3 o'clock in the morning, I believe, the GIs had obtained some dynamite, and they put it under the porch of the jail. Most of the police officers escaped out the back, but they did blow the building up. Then another count of the ballots was taken in public, and the GI Party had won the election. Now, as with any older, smaller town in the South specifically, once the businesses start moving out toward the bypass or toward the highway, downtown becomes a bit of a ghost town, and there are a lot of buildings down here that are boarded up, some that are being remodeled, but not a lot of people down here. All around town, you'll see these markers, and you'll see markers on the buildings here of its historical significance. There is a walking tour of downtown Athens, and you'll find these kind of dotted around. And so, you know, where are we at? We are at White Street in Madison, which is right here. So we're on this corner right here. I'm parked somewhere back over here. And we're just going to walk around. We may grab some lunch before we go home. But yeah, this is the story of the Battle of Athens. If you ever want to know what an insurrection really looks like, look no further. Now I'm aware that this sandwich is not carnivore. Not even close. It's called the Nelly, not anything like it. Something like that. Most people would just call it a burrito. But I guess it's all in the marketing and the name. And I have to say that I haven't really had a taco or a burrito in a long, long time. And it's pretty good. We'll see you tomorrow.